What's up, everybody? Just some random thoughts here to start things off with. Ruckus says hi, everybody. You see those purplish flowers up there, the tall ones? Well, this has kind of really impressed me in the last couple of weeks. Oh, yeah, Ruckus got him a girlfriend now that follows us around every time we go for a walk. Can't blame her, he's a little stud. So, these flowers have sprung up everywhere just in the last 2 weeks. They're in my yard, and there was another flower there that already died off. Yes, I still got my house all tore apart. But the precision programming of these things has just really impressed me. It makes perfect sense that when after winter, when the temperature starts hitting 70 degrees, then everything springs back to life. But that's not what's happened with these. All these areas have been mowed about once a week since spring, and then all at once, everywhere these start popping up, and we've had pretty consistent 70 to 90 degree day and night temperatures, and there's been no catalyst apparent to me anyway that sets these things in motion. And just the precision programming of these things, we walk this every day and they all spring up at exactly the same time. No big point to all this. It's just really impressive, the genetic programming. This has to be intelligent design. Like Ruckus, he sniffs out a deer path or a rabbit that had walked by, and his programming takes over. He's frantically chasing down whatever it is he's smelling. But then you get him around chickens, and it's like he doesn't even know that they're there. He just completely ignores them. And this knowledge is encoded in every cell of his body. Each cell can replicate, and inside of each one of those cells is all of the coding for the entire being. And, at this point, I kind of laugh hearing people look at old stone structures and talk about the advanced technology. Well, the most advanced technology that you're ever going to see, you see every single day. It's in every living thing. And I don't think we'll ever create anything more advanced than what has already been created. So yes, all of those ancient structures were created by very advanced technology, and it doesn't really matter what tools were used. Without a human being, they wouldn't be there. Only a human being or something with a superior intelligence to us is capable of doing this. Anyway, there's your deep thoughts by Jack Handy for anybody old enough to remember that reference. Back when comedy was allowed. That's part of the agenda too. You got to have a monopoly on ridicule and mockery. And I hear that they are taking channels down right now for ridicule and mocking a certain cackler. Anyway, one subject at a time here. So a strange pillar of light was seen over Texas. Freeport resident Randy Martin stepped out of his home around 1:30 a.m. Monday to find something he'd never seen before, a red column of light beaming toward the evening sky over the coastal Texas town. The vertical line remained shining in the eastern horizon, flickering slowly yet unmoved for over an hour before it finally vanished. Quote, "It never moved for about an hour and 15 minutes, Martin told the news agency. It got brighter and brighter, and then all of a sudden, it just went away." Martin took to Facebook to confirm whether anyone else around him had also spotted the same spectacle, and one person shared a photo of a similar vertical ray of light they spotted over Austin on Thursday. And then this news source has an explainator here. Meteorologist Davis Samuel says that this is an atmospheric phenomenon known as a light pillar, which is caused by ice clouds reflecting light back from a flare or possibly even from the moon. Now, I've seen these light pillars that he's referring to. There was a pretty good show up in Alaska last winter. Keyword there being winter. That's what forms ice crystals in the air. And you can clearly see the source of the light here. It's coming from the street lights. And usually you don't just have a single light. You can see that it's reflecting off of every light source there. But that's not what we're seeing here, and it's pretty ridiculous to be suggesting that this is from ice crystals when it's 90 degrees in Texas and the Gulf Coast right now. And sure, it may be colder up at higher altitudes, but if right now in the middle of summer there are ice crystals up in the atmosphere that are reflecting shafts of light, then we'd be seeing this all of the time. So I definitely don't think that that is what is causing this. It's definitely worth noting that there has been Hurricane Beryl come through in the last week around the time that these were all witnessed. But once again, these aren't normally seen during the 20 or 30 of these we have every year. So the channel that I first heard about this from speculated that what we're seeing is a laser being used to warm the water in the Gulf Coast to create these hurricanes. So I want to address that, and this goes towards all the speculation of this technology being used. First off, there are beams that operate within the visible light spectrum. Obviously, we've all seen the laser light shows and laser pointers, but that is a very low energy output. If you want to burn a hole in something, you have to up the amplitude and frequency. So by the time you get up to an operational output, you are well above the visible light spectrum. So I can pretty much guarantee you that every online photo that you've ever seen claiming to be of the morning dew is fake. If you're firing a beam hot enough to start a fire or even melt metal, it's not going to be in the visible spectrum anymore. And I'm just pointing out the scientific limitations of this technology. Next up, the whole purpose of this is to focus the energy into a narrow point. And it requires an enormous amount of energy that we'll talk about in a minute. But the whole point is to concentrate all of that energy into a tiny space so that you actually get a result, which is heating things up. So the idea that you can just zap a whole town, say down in Hawaii, isn't really feasible with this technology. And I'm not saying that that is impossible, but it's not like you would zap the whole town. You would have to hit little areas and start little fires all over the place. But you can't just hit a big, huge surface area. The amount of energy required for that would be like the energy output of the sun. So you could have a nuclear reactor strapped to a balloon up there, and I still don't think that would be enough energy to hit a wide surface area like a town. So now let's talk energy. This apparatus uses about 60 kilowatts, and that's based per hour, so 60,000 watts per hour. Now, I have a 1500 watt space heater that will heat my room in the winter until it gets down to about 20. So this apparatus right here is consuming about as much energy as 40 of my little space heaters. So one point here is this is putting off enough energy to heat 40 of my rooms, which is probably a decent sized restaurant. So that's it. That's all the power that this thing can generate is enough to heat a restaurant. But since it's focused in a tiny area, then it's effective. And this is the latest, greatest state-of-the-art technology that we know about. But people take that, what we know about part, and turn it into unfeasible technologies. And they love it when you attribute godlike powers to them. They love that crap. They'll promote that all day. Now, the other thing here is I can plug that little space heater into my power inverter in the van, and this 25 to 30 pound battery can run that thing for maybe 5 minutes tops. Now, this is mounted on a ship that can haul millions of tons or whatever, but you're much more limited by what you can put up in the sky. And no matter how you look at how they get the satellites up into the sky, the maximum weight is around 2,000 pounds. And these balloons crash all the time, and that ain't no 2,000 pounds anywhere close to it. Anyway, the point being here, with any battery technology that we have, and it doesn't matter how many solar panels you slap on there, you're not converting energy that efficiently. It would require thousands of pounds of batteries to even fire one shot. And that would be concentrating all of the energy into one little area. So I just thought I'd point out the scientific reality of all of this, because I see speculation run wild all the time. But even a land-based apparatus where weight isn't a consideration for the power generation, I don't think the combined output of our entire energy grid would be enough to warm an ocean. And you're not going to zap an entire town. Once again, you just have to hit specific little areas, which, that totally can be done. You could start multiple fires all at once, no problem. But you're not going to melt down an entire building just with this. Anyway, I just think that was a long overdue reality check. This, though, there have been all kinds of aerial phenomena recorded throughout history, and there's still plenty of things that we don't understand. Like this total eclipse of the moon that lasted for 6 hours. At the time of Jesus' death, they reported an eclipse of the moon and of the sun, all in the same 24 hours, which is impossible by our understanding, if you understand how each eclipse works. And then also the daytime one, the sun was dark for over 3 hours. And I know somewhere in this book they describe shafts of light up in the sky, but it's really hard to find and it's a long read. But it is full of all kinds of uncanny aerial phenomena. The sun appeared like a new moon. A new moon is dark. It was sometimes broader, sometimes smaller, sometimes crooked, sometimes straighter, sometimes it stood still, other times it moved forward and seemed like quicksilver, like liquid mercury, moved and liquid. So I don't know. Sometimes we just gotta admit we don't know what the heck it is. All I know is weird stuff like this has been reported for thousands of years. And if all of these had been technology based as opposed to natural of the physical world, then the keepers of this technology have taken Bigfoot's crown for the hide and seek champion of the world. But I'm still not ruling out that there are beings more advanced than us living underground like in Tibet, but they still operate by the same physical laws that govern us. And nature and the universe are way more powerful than any of us beings living in it, in my opinion. Static out.